Okay, today we're going to go ahead and go over how to use conversion factors to convert between any two units. Okay, so first I'm just going to go ahead and lay out the steps, and then we'll go ahead and use those steps. So initially the steps might not make sense, but I just want you guys to have them as a reference. Okay, so whenever we're converting between units, the first thing is you want to go ahead and you want to write your conversion. So what two units are you going to be converting between? Okay, so I'll give you guys an example in a bit right now. Write your conversions. For example, let's say I'm converting between feet and inches, and I would put feet, I would put an arrow, and inches. So that's what I mean by write your conversion. Okay. Step 2 is going to be, so step 2 will be write your equivalent. In other words, how are those two things equal to each other? So how many feet are equal to how many inches? Well, I'll just use this as an example. But for example, I know that 1 foot equals 12 inches. Okay. Step 3 is going to be, you go ahead and you create what we call a conversion fraction. This is really the important part. This is the part we have to get right. See? So step 3 is create a conversion fraction. And just like it sounds, it's just a fraction that's going to allow you to convert between two different units. Okay? So like any fraction, we're going to have something in the bottom, we're going to have something in the top. So on the bottom, we're going to have basically the units that we want to get rid of. So the units we will eliminate. So units that will, or I'll just put that we want to eliminate. So that we want to eliminate. Okay, so whatever we want to eliminate, that's going to go in the bottom of the fraction. And our new units, whatever we're looking for, it's going to go on the top. So our new units, or whatever we're searching for, whatever we're trying to convert to, will go on the top. Okay, so what we want to eliminate in the bottom, what we want on the top. That format doesn't change. Okay, step 4, this is the easiest. Really, you just go ahead and you multiply. So you multiply whatever number was given to you, you multiply that number times your conversion fraction. Okay, so multiply times your conversion fraction. So let's go ahead and let's work through these and see these in action, because I know right now it might not make sense. Okay, so let's go ahead and say that I have an example which we've seen, right? We have 36 eggs. So actually, let me go ahead and just put a line here. I have 36 eggs, and I want to figure out how many dozens is that of eggs. Okay. Well, I mean, we know the answer, right? It's going to be 3. We know that 1 dozen and so forth. Okay, but I'm going to go ahead and go through this process, because if you understand this process, then you can apply it to anything. Okay. So step 1, what are we converting from? Well, we're converting from eggs to dozens. So that's step 1. Okay. Step 2, how many eggs equal how many dozens? So in other words, I'm writing my equivalent. How many of each equal each other? So how many of each equal to each other have nothing to do with this. I know that 12 eggs, so 12 eggs equal 1 dozen. Okay, so 12 eggs equal 1 dozen. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and set up my conversion fraction, which is step 3. So step 1, step 2, now let's go ahead and move on to step 3. So I go ahead and I'm just going to bring this number down here, 36 eggs times a fraction. I don't know what that fraction is yet, but I know that eggs is what I want to get rid of, because I want to figure out the answer in dozens. So eggs go in the bottom, because that's what I want to get rid of. That's what I want to eliminate. My new units go on top, but my new units are dozen. Okay, so now what numbers do I put? Well, all you do is you take your equivalent and you plug it in. That's all you do. So you take these numbers and you plug it in. Well, this tells me that 12 eggs equal 1 dozen. Okay, so all I'm doing is taking these numbers and plugging them in next to the correct unit. I wouldn't put 12 up here because eggs is down here. That's why I put this. So basically I took this whole thing and I just put it down there. Okay. Last part, multiply. Okay. How do we multiply a fraction? When we're multiplying fractions, you're going to go ahead and you're going to multiply the top and you're going to multiply the bottom. Okay. So we would multiply this and then we would multiply this. So you might think there's nothing actually in the bottom to multiply, right? But you can just put an invisible 1. It's the same thing. Okay. Okay, 36. So 36 times 1, we multiply the top, is going to give us, well, just 36. Okay. Then we multiply the bottom. 1 times 12 gives us 12, and then that fraction bar doesn't leave. Okay. So whenever two things that are the same are across each other, so this is on top, this is on the bottom, they go ahead and they cancel each other out. So this and this are going to cancel out because they are across from each other. Okay. We're left with dozen. So that's the only unit we're left with. So we go ahead and carry that over. Dozen. Okay. So my final answer is 36 divided by 12, dozen. So in other words, if I simplify this, 36 over 12, that's just 36 divided by 12, which is 3 dozen, which was our original, what we already knew it was, right? So that's how you do conversion fractions. All right, just go ahead and work through a couple more problems so we get the hang of this, okay? And as we go on, I'll kind of start going a little bit quicker, and I might start skipping some steps as well, but those are the basic steps. Okay, so let's say I have 108 inches, okay? So I have 108 inches, and I want to convert that into feet, okay? So basically my conversion would be inches to feet. So I'll skip that step for now. I know, so I'm going on to step 2, writing my equivalent. I know that 1 foot equals 12 inches. Okay. So then I go ahead, I take this number, I'm going to bring it down, 108 inches times some sort of fraction, right? Well, now what do I put on the bottom? What do I put on the top? Well, I know that I want to get rid of inches because I want to convert it to feet. So inches is going to go on the bottom. So I'm going to take this whole thing, put it in the bottom. That's why I set that up first. So 12 inches go in the bottom. 1 foot goes on top. Okay. You can do it first the units and then the numbers, but it's really the same thing. Remember, things that are across from each other cancel out. Cancel, cancel. I abbreviated here, but it's the same thing, inches. Okay. Multiply the top. 108 times 1 is going to give us 108. The bottom, there's invisible 1, so just 1 times 12 is just 12. And then we're left with feet. Okay. And if I want to simplify that, that's just 108 divided by 12. So I put that in my calculator. 108 divided by 12 equals 9. Okay, so that would be 9 feet. You're not always going to get a perfect answer like this, but for now, you would. Okay, and for your homework, you're just going to go ahead and round to the first decimal. We'll go over that in a bit. Okay, let's go ahead and work through another problem here. Let's say I want to convert 2.5 miles. So let's do some units that we might not be familiar with. Let's convert 2.5 miles into kilometers. Well, we probably don't know right off our head, like how do we convert miles between kilometers? So the worksheet you're going to have is going to give you the conversions. Okay, so I'm going to give you this conversion now. 1 mile equals 1.6 kilometers. So basically, I already gave you step 2, right? I gave you the equivalent. And you're going to use that to solve the problem. So step 1, what am I converting? Well, I'm converting from miles to kilometers. And as you get better, you don't have to do this step. You can skip, but it's kind of for you to visualize what's going on. Okay? So I go ahead, I take this, I bring it down, 2.5 miles times a fraction. So I'm repeating, this is just repetition. I'm doing the same thing over and over. Okay, I take this, let's just start with units. Well, I know if I have miles here, then miles have to go in the bottom. And I want kilometers, so I put kilometers on top. But where did I get these numbers? Well, I just get it from my equivalent. Well, 1 mile is equal to 1.6 kilometers. 1.6 kilometers equals, I can go ahead and just multiply this. 2.5 times 1.6. So 2.5 times 1.6 would give me 4. Okay, so it would be 4 kilometers, because miles canceled out, divided by, well, this is a invisible 1. 1 times 1 is just 1, so it's just the same thing. It's just 4 kilometers. Okay, that'd be my answer. All right, this next one, I'm going to go ahead, it's going to be a two-step problem. You could do it in one step, but I'll let you, because you'll see why I'm doing it in one step, okay? Or sorry, rather two. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, and let's say I want to convert 1.3 days into minutes. So if I ask you off the top of your head, how many minutes are in a day, you probably don't know that, right? But if I ask you how many hours are in a day, well, we should know that, right? We do know that 1 day equals 24 hours. And then if I ask you how many minutes are in an hour, we know that as well. We know that 1 hour equals 60 minutes. Okay? So what we're doing in this problem, we're starting with days, and we're going from days to hours, and then from hours finally to minutes. It's a two-step problem. We go one step and then another step. Okay? But it's the same process as before. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you guys how to do this here. So we're going to go ahead and do it in 2 steps. So first I start with what I'm given, I bring it down. 1.3 days. Okay? Times, I put a fraction here. Well, if I'm going from days to hours, I'm going to have to use one of these conversions. The only one that has to do with days and hours is this first one. So I just plug in the bottom, 1 day equals 24 hours. 24 hours. Okay? I go ahead, put that in my calculator, do the math, multiply the top and the bottom. 1.3 times 24 gives me 31.2. 31.2. Eliminate. I'm left with hours. That's my answer. Okay? Alright, well, I don't want hours, I want minutes. So now I got to go ahead and convert this. So, for the sake of this, I'm just going to go ahead and rewrite it. Actually, we can do it from here. I go times another fraction again. Okay? Well, what goes in the bottom? Again, I want to eliminate this, so that goes in the bottom. Hours, and I want minutes. That's the unit that goes on top. I take these, put them here. 60 minutes equals 1 hour. Okay? And then same process. This number times 60. So I go 3.12 times 60 equals, I'm going to put the answer in the bottom here. So my answer would be 1,872. All right, so what are my units? And also, if you notice, I didn't divide by anything because this is just 1. So it would be 1 times 1, which would be just over 1, which is the same thing. So that's why I didn't put it. Okay. Well, if this was on top and this was across, things that are across cancel out. I'm left with minutes, which is my answer that I wanted. Okay. And that's how you do conversions. You can apply the same method to pretty much any problem.